Hi, something a bit different for you today. Last weekend I was down at the Warley Model Railway Club's Summer Open Day. And when I was there, Andy Hudson, who's the secretary of the club, asked if I'd like to join him down in Margate in Kent to visit Hornby Hobbies. When we were there, we both got an exclusive interview with Simon Kohler of Hornby. So let me grab a seat and I'll tell you more details. This interview with Hornby will be split into two parts. The first part of the interview with Simon Kohler will be on the Dean Park Station YouTube channel. Directly after this is finished, you can then access the second part, which is on the Warley Model Rail Club's YouTube channel. With so many questions asked on the day, we felt that an hour-long video would be a bit too much, so we've decided to split it into the two parts. If you have any questions regarding what we've seen at Hornby, please do get in touch. Before I go, I just got to really thank Simon Kohler for his time on the day. He was absolutely $1 million, really couldn't do more for us. And all the Hornby staff who showed us around and really made our day very, very special indeed. So I hope you enjoy the video. Remember, if you like it, click on the like icon. If you've not already done so, subscribe to the channel. And the little icon on the bottom right hand side of the screen there will allow you to access all other Dean Park updates. And remember, at the end of this video, after the outtakes section, which there was a few, you can then nip across to the Warley Model Rail Club YouTube channel and see the second half of this exclusive interview with Simon Kohler. Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to Dean Park. In this video, we're visiting Hornby HQ here in Margate in Kent for an exclusive interview with Simon Kohler. So let's go in and see what Simon's got planned for the future of Hornby. Will you join us at the Hornby Visitor Centre in Margate, and we've very kindly been joined by Simon Kohler, Mr Hornby, for a one-to-one interview. I've got a list of questions that have been posted by Facebook followers of the Warley and Dean Park Station groups. So we'll get through some of them, and thanks for your time this morning, Simon.
Fine.
The first question, Hornby and Margate, they go together like fish and chips, okay?
Yeah.
How did Hornby come to be associated with the town, do you know?
Yeah, I do actually. It goes back to the days when you had the Lyons brothers, the Triumph group, and they were looking, they were based at Merton, they had other factories elsewhere, and they were looking for somewhere closer to the coast for easy access to the continent. So they went round the south coast and they came to Margate, and in simple terms the council here could not have been more helpful, found them the site, and basically whatever the Triumph people wanted they got. You know, and as I say, we've always had a strong affinity with the area, so that's really how it happened. It was really, as always these things, a little bit of luck, people's willingness, and then obviously closeness to Europe.
Oh, excellent. Okay, thanks for that. Right. Second question was from a Facebook viewer. A lot of us know the name Simon Kohler, and it's synonymous with Hornby for decades. Okay. What does it mean to you to be so closely linked with a British institution such as Hornby, and to be known in the modelling world as Mr Hornby? How does that?
Well, the Mr Hornby thing seems to have sort of gathered a little bit of momentum over the last couple of years. What it means to me to actually work here and be part of it is one of, I've got to be honest, great enjoyment. And I'm only following on from other people before me, and there'll be people coming on after me. So it means a lot. It's terrific. You know, when I first left school, I never dreamed that I'd ever be in Margate. In fact, I'm not sure I knew where Margate was. So to be, you know, it's lovely. It's a joy. I never wake up in the morning thinking I've got to go to work. You know, I am the luckiest bloke in the world, quite frankly. Love the job.
That comes across when you speak to you at shows.
Oh, right.
You can't hide. You know, if somebody's not enjoying their work, very difficult to hide that. but your enthusiasm for the actual hobby and the people it shows certainly comes across. I mean, the fact that you remembered me, and I've not spoken to you for 2 or 3 years at a show or through an email, you know, you're switched on.
I'm probably better with faces than names.
Yeah.
But but believe me, it isn't show, it isn't fun. You know, I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy talking to people about this business. So yeah.
Yep. The next question is all about the kind of range and the models that you choose for the Hornby magazines and the Hornby catalogue. And it says, how do you select the range for the following year? And when is that discussed in the actual, the calendar? When do you start sitting down and say, right, it's 2019 now, we've got to look at the next range? When does that happen? And how long does it kind of take before it's signed off and approved?
No, it is an excellent question. A lot of the models sort of are created really from going to shows, talking to people, etc. That's one aspect. Another aspect is things start to sort of, if you like, come to the surface. You think, maybe we should do that. Or what about that? And now that can happen 5 years before it even hits the street. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
On the other hand, what we try and do is build a 5-year plan. Now you can argue that sort of next year or the year after, 2021, it's fairly solid. 22, yeah, not bad. 23, perhaps a little bit sketchy. By the time you get to 25, it is definitely sketchy. So as the years progress, you start filling in those gaps. So it'll always be, the next year is fairly solid, not quite, and so it moves on. So, but occasionally you'll get something that will suddenly crop up, and you need to say, right, okay, we need to do that. So there is a lot of resources.
That was the next point I was going to make. Was if somebody you see that, for example, in the case of the Terrier, you see that somebody might be coming along, if you've got space to react and capacity to react in that, to try and get something that maybe wasn't penciled in for the range, to market a little bit quicker.
The Terrier is actually a very, very good one, and it was quite topical.
Yes.
Right. Before I left on, as I said, my sabbatical, enforced sabbatical, the Terrier was part of the plan. Okay. So I was quite surprised that hadn't happened. So on my return, I said, right, okay, well, we must put the Terrier into the plan and make sure it's going to happen. Yeah. What happened with somebody coming in with the Terrier was, hang on a minute, we'll bring it forward. We'll have to bring it forward. We'd done the research, we got it all ready, we knew where we wanted to go with it. So we put a lot of effort because, as I've said on more than one occasion, it is a staple product of ours. Yeah. Originally, as everybody knows and many people know, it was Dapple, and we bought the tools way back. Yeah. And it had always been in our range. And it is one of those locomotives, you do it properly, there are so many different variations we can do with it. So it's a staple product. People collect Terriers. Yeah. So, I wasn't prepared to lose that section. And we're in the right time. Now, you ask how long does that take to make that decision. That decision took probably less than an hour to get done, do the paperwork, get it signed off and move on. Right. That's the secret. It has been in the past here that it can take months to get something actually signed off. What we do now is put the plan together, get the tooling quotes, get it drawn, get it tooling quotes, etc., and then get the paperwork signed off as quickly as possible. The longer you delay it, the longer it takes to come through. So I'm very keen. Get it signed. Let's get it tooled. Yeah. Well,
to lead on from the Terrier, one of the questions I was asked was, are you going to be bringing out specific rolling stock that ran with the Terrier in your range in the future? Because you've brought out this lovely little locomotive. Yeah. Modelers who collect them would want to run them on their layouts, and they want something authentic, just as authentic as the engine itself, to run with it.
Yeah. So, well, again, sort of I open that up. we listen to comments like that. So we then have to make a call, a judgment, whether the demand is there to actually justify the cost. So we're always listening, always watching. You know, there are so many of these polls coming through. We should be doing this, should be doing that. We pick all this information up when we do shows. I get letters, I get emails, and we look at the polls, and we try and draw a conclusion when we put all that together. Really. Okay. Was that vague enough?
No, that's good. I'm sure the person that asked that question will be waiting for it to appear in the 2020 catalogue now.
Yeah.
That's right, Simon, we're across at some of your new rolling stock here, in particular your Mark IIFs and the sliding door Mark IIIs. Can you tell us a wee bit more about the background into the development of these?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons we did the two E's originally, we were actually going to do the Fs, and then our friends at Barwell announced they were going to do the Fs, so we backed off. Now, you got to remember that was about 4 years or so ago.
Yeah, at least,
So in that time, we produced the E's, and I wandered off. I came back, still waiting for the Fs, and it was while we're doing a show at the Glasgow event, and a chap grabbed me by the hand, took me over to the Scott Model Rail Scotland cabinet, and he said, "These are what you should be producing," and he pointed actually
to the
these.
tire.
And I said, "Yeah, but we don't." I said, "We've got E's, not F's," and he said, "No, it doesn't matter." Well, actually, I wandered off and I thought, well, actually, it does matter. And when I got back, I inquired with the engineers, what are the changes? Can we use some of the E's to produce the F's and so on? So, which is basically what we did. And so that's really how they came about. I don't believe that they're in direct competition with the friends at Barwell. They're a different type of thing. They're not as heavily detailed and got all the bells and whistles. However, I think they are good enough to for appearance. It's what I would say, a 2 foot appearance. If you really want to go down to it, you can pick.
There's a gap in the market for somebody who's maybe wanting to spend a little bit more than a railroad, but can't justify the Rolls Royce.
Exactly.
So
and really, what we produced here is that. That's exactly how we approached it. I mean, the Saltair, the Scott Rail, have really been accepted well. As have the others, and of course, it opens up other liveries for us. So no, it was a good, sound decision.
Well, obviously you've got the E's, the F's are now out. I know you've had the D's in the range, and they're Airfix tooling or whatever. If you could, find it in your heart to, because they ran in Blue Stripes ScotRail, and it would be really nice to have them for a Mallee out in the next.
Well, I mean, when you have successes like that, you're bound to look at the others. So you never know. You may see that, but the sliding door Mark III that poses a particular problem. When what you're holding there are the resins. We've actually had now the pre-production first tooling shots, so they should be on display. But what we have here, we looked at our existing Mark IIIs, which, believe it or not, are racing towards 20 years old. Could we convert those? The answer is, well, yes and no. And so it was decided, right, okay, well, what we'll do, the Mark IIIs, obviously with these changes, are going to be around for a good number of years. So we will retool, give us an opportunity to bring them bang up to date. So having looked at them, looked at who's going to be operating them, obviously they're up there in Scotland as well. We've hit the bullet, and we've sort of gone through all the different variants. So when they come through, you'll be able to have a complete rake of them.
I don't even model that era. but I've ordered myself a set of and the Saltire power cars
Yes.
because the livery in person when you're standing next to it is stunning. You know, the work they've done the vinyls on the actual life-size ones. So I'm just dying to get. My excuse is that, well, it's ScotRail. I've got an excuse to spend a bit more.
We had an awful lot of help with ScotRail, from ScotRail rather. And so, you know, we're really pleased, really excited with the way they're going. What we have found is because when you start these jobs before everything's been finalised on the real thing,
yes,
you do find that certain changes have been made.
Yeah.
So one of the, you know, there's been a few changes on the roof vents and so on. So we've had to do a little bit more retooling work, which is.
Yeah, I know some of them have got the kind of HST style, and so I've got the original Mark IIIA kind of vents.
So we've had to play around with that.
Yeah.
But you know, we'll get there. It's delayed it a little, but you know, fingers crossed for November.
Well, you want to? I'd rather wait till next week to get it right than tomorrow and then.
I do not chase dates.
Yeah.
I want the job to be right.
Yeah.
So no, very very pleased with those.
Well, one of the questions we got actually, when you release, say, the Mark IIe or the F or the Mark III coaches, you never produce enough of the standard opens, and you produce. I'm assuming you produce the same amount for the TGS coaches, the buffet, the first opens, the standard, and it's always the race to try and get yourself 4 or 5 standards, and then in the kind of bargain sales 3 years later, the TGSs are going still there. How can you work around that?
Well,
Are you in control of that?
Yeah, well, you know, I've tried certainly over these last couple of years to get the balance right. Now, you know, as much as you try with these things, you're not going to get it 100%. Yeah. But you will notice that when, you know, we are producing several opens and obviously TGS. Now, you're not going to do the same number of TGS as you would do opens, but you would look at, say, if there's 3 opens in a rake and a TGS, then you work out the numbers that way. So, in theory, there should be enough, but you'll always have the wild card where people will just come and say, "Oh, well, I'll just have one of those, or I'll just have you know, a couple of those," and then that throws any kind of mathematical equation out of the window. So I'm not going to say it's dead right. I'm not going to say it's even you know, 50% right, but we are trying to get it right. As I say, that's why you will see different variants. Sorry, the same open, but in different running numbers. Different running numbers.
Well, that leads me nicely to another question I was asked. You produced the full GWR green HST, and it had, you know, it had all different running numbers. So you had, you know, your 3 or 4 standard opens. You had 2 releases of the first open, and then last year you produced the Swallow ones, which are very popular, which flew off the shelves. I mean, I bought a few too many myself, but you only produced 1 standard open, 1 first open. And we've got, on my one at home, I've got 5 Coach Bs, for example. How can you? That was
that was prior to me getting involved, because some of these items were established before I returned, and as much there wasn't an awful lot I could do. The interesting thing with Great Western is I really just couldn't get the volume right. I mean, I was astounded the number of green ones we actually sold, and I've got no excuse. You know, I put the numbers down that I thought we could sell, and they sold out immediately. The thing is, you can't just pick the phone up and say, "Oh, by the way,
can I have another 500?"
Yeah, because they're already in production.
Yeah.
So you know, I'll put my hands up to that. Now we have got that right. I am trying desperately hard to get it right now.
I mean, it's. I mean, I would say more than half of the modelers, you know, it doesn't really matter. The running numbers don't matter. But you know, if I'm buying 4 standard opens, I don't really bother about the running numbers. But if they've all got Coach B on them, you know, you could do a bit modification. But it'd be nice. I remember prior to you going away on your sabbatical, you produced the executive liveries, and it was coaches A, B, C, D, E. And I remember contacting you at the time and saying, you know, that's great because we can now get a full number or lettered rake.
And we were talking earlier about Perth. And it was during a conversation I had at Perth where, you know, somebody said, why can't we do this, this, this? And so that's when I came back and started to do that. But of course it drifted off when I left. And so sort of trying to pull it back. I do know how important it is. And it is trying to get the numbers right, really. So, you know, practice makes perfect, so they say.
Well, Hornby's 100 years old next year, I believe. Next year. So we're keeping aiming for perfection.
Yeah. It's taken 100 years to get this far. Excellent. Yeah. Mind you, got to see what we're doing for the next 200 years.
Yeah. Again. We're in the kind of Humbrol Corgi section of the visitor centre now, Simon, and I've had a few questions on the Humbrol paint range.
Right.
And one was, there's the Humbrol paint rail colours and acrylics that you've had for some years, like the warning yellows and garter blue, etc., etc. Have you considered expanding that range to cover a broader area of the models that you release through Hornby? For example, a rail executive grey, you know, the intercity reds, so people can maybe take a non-Hornby product and then repaint the rolling stock to match the Hornby product.
Yeah. It's the paint has been a little bit of an issue with us. Certainly since my return, we brought back the production back to the UK, and we'd only just started to get the ball rolling again properly, and unfortunately the factory burnt down, which created, as you can imagine, a lot of issues for us. That's getting better. We found other resource as well as the existing one. So it's really trying to get that back on an even keel, which we have done now, and then that will now give us a little bit of a respite to start looking at what else we can do. We rely quite a lot on feedback, and it is an interesting question, and it is one I will talk to the Humbrol brand team about, and see what we can do. But I'd be very, very interested for anybody who sees this and they feel, you know, we want these paints, or why haven't we got that paint, etc. Just drop me a line or an email or whatever, and it all adds, you know, this sort of you know, fuel to the flame, so we can get, you know, provide, because we're in this business to provide a service, and so I need that feedback. So
well, the reason I kind of thought that was a good question is because I have a lot of Hornby Mark III coaches. I have a lot of HSTs, too many. I'll not put on camera in case my wife watches this, but I recently bought the new Oxford Mark III, the ScotRail livery, to run with my Bachmann locos and stuff like that, and I had to repaint the lower side of it to match the Bachmann, because the colours that Oxford had determined that were the correct colours were different from the correct colours that Hornby have chosen and the correct colours that Bachmann have chosen. In this day and age, I know we do it with decoders and that, we've all got the same standard. Is there not argument for this day and age that we have a standardised paint palette, so that intercity grey in Hornby, in Oxford, in Bachmann, in Dapol, it's all the same? And so if I buy a Hornby loco, because you don't produce, for example, the rolling stock to match some of your locos, and some companies don't produce the loco for the rolling stock, it's quite annoying for the purist to buy a lovely coach and then it sticks out like a sore thumb with a logo. No, can there be a standardisation?
Again, good question. Technically speaking, there should not be a reason why they shouldn't. They all we do try and recreate the colours that we are told that, you know, specific colours that ScotRail use and so on. We do try and match those, and you know, there have to be differences. You know, for example, we can't have any heavy metal or whatever in the paint. It has to be perfectly safe. So there's an influence there. However, we wouldn't be the only people who have to adhere to that. Everybody else does. It then boils down to where they're manufactured. There's the colour scheme. That's the colour we want. We get samples back. Does it match? Yes, it does. And off we go. Now, our factory may be different from somebody else's factory, and their interpretation on the colour is again different. Yes. Colour is a very interesting thing because, you know, there's a high percentage of people in this country who suffer from colour blindness. There are people will always can differentiate. I will see a particular colour, somebody say, no, that's slightly different. You'll always have that. You'll always have the business that when a coach comes out from being painted, perfect, goes through the colour wash, or you know, after a week or two the colour's gone from what it was, and then people perceive that colour, and then you chuck in the business that maybe what their colour they see is not the same as the colour I see, and so on. Then you have this problem. It doesn't answer what you're suggesting, which surely they should all match, and I think it's a good question. And it's something that I will talk about. Something that hadn't occurred to me, but it's a good point. There should be.
Yeah, I mean, it's like if I get my car damaged and I go into the paint shop, they actually take a photograph of the paint that's on the undamaged part of the car, and they mix it to match. Computers can do amazing things. It's
because they can do it digitally.
Yes, I mean, and I know and your competitors said they were bringing out the Mark IIIA loco hold stock. They asked questions: do you wish the one to colour match the rivals or be accurate? Now, people say, oh, of course we want to be accurate, but it's like certain votes that took place in this country. You didn't really know what you were voting for. So, of course people want it, but what is accurate? I trust that the Bachmann colour is accurate, but then again, so as I might find that the Daypol colour is accurate. You know, we're not paint experts, so I just thought, you know, a standardisation.
No. I think that's a good idea, and I think what I will do next time I see David Harhouse of Bachmann, I'll talk to him about it, and
because in your
and see, I can talk. I can. Yeah, it's in. You know, I can talk to Oxford very easily. I don't see why not. No,
because I know Oxford said that they'd use the same paint codes as British Rail used. But I recall speaking to you at a show years ago, and you said if you take the actual colour and place it on a double O gauge, it doesn't always look right.
You can't. Again, you know, I didn't mention this, but you're right. You know, you should, in essence, scale colour down, because you're right. It sometimes it just won't look right. So there are lots of elements, but it doesn't stop me talking to Bachmann and Oxford and anybody else really to establish, you know, correct colours. It then boils down to our different manufacturers and them maintaining those colours. Because I tell you what does happen, and it not quite so much now because we have a steady flow of product, but years gone by, you know, you'd have the same coach in the range for years on end. And I remember clearly we had the old Pullmans, and they started life as umber and cream, and they were, you know, kept coming in, year out, year in, year out. And, you know, the QA people would pick it up, say, yeah, the colour's fine, off you go. Eventually what happened was, you don't notice it, but the colours drifted. And when we presented to the Orient Express people what we considered was the right colour, they queried it. We went back to the very first and compared with what we'd done, and you were looking at chalk and cheese. You know, because the changes had been so subtle, nobody had actually picked it up.
Well, I know you made subtle changes over the years to your shades, I mean, the executive grey, which is notoriously difficult to get right. And obviously now that you've released all your E's and your F's and your Mark III's in the one colour, you know, Hornby buyers would like it to stay that way so they can keep adding to their stock. If you suddenly change it to match the competitors, your customers would be up in arms. It's got to a stage where it'd be very difficult to take an established livery and then try and colour match it to other companies, because you're then going to get people complaining. I forked out £400 for 10 coaches 2 years ago, and now you brought the next batch out and they don't match them. So it's like it's a balance.
It is. But I mean, if you look at any coaches, you know, real coaches that some have gone through the wash, some haven't, and all the rest of it, you will see colour differences. But with the model term, as again, it's when you scale it all the way down, you know, it is quite dramatic. Well, it's a good question.
I remember speaking to a chap that used to paint locos, when they used to hand paint them, the GWR
Yes,
greens. He said there was a paint shop for the loco and a paint shop for the tender.
Yeah.
And GWR green could differ from two paint shops. The tender very rarely matched the loco.
And it depended on the person who mixed the paint. It depended what the weather was like. It depended on so many different aspects, whether it's done outside or inside and so on. So when people say, oh, that's not GWR green, well, what is GWR green?
We all see it through kind of memory.
And a classic for me was a chat. We were at a show, live steam show somewhere, and a guy came up to me and said, why can't you get your LMS colour right? It's the wrong colour. And he had his back to the locos, and back to the locos were all LMS. There's about 4 of them. So I asked him to turn around and say, well, which LMS colour would you want? Because they were all different. Yeah. And it is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah. But going back to your first comment, surely, if I have a word with David and so on, see if we can standardise. I don't see any reason why.
Through the years, obviously, when you bring a new livery out in years to come, because liveries are forever changing now, with new operators, obviously it's a wee bit late to do some of the established ones, because I want my, crimson from LMS Hornby logos to match the release in 5 years' time from Hornby. I don't want it to change. But if you're using a new privatised livery that comes on stream, that's a point that somebody raised.
Good point.
Okay.
Good question.
So, duplication of locos, just obviously.
Oh, right, yeah.
So we talk, obviously, the Class 47 Von Hausen is coming out.
Yes.
They're planning it, or it's in the design stage. Do you think it's going to be sustainable? So
well,
Hausen producing the 47, you've got Batman producing 47s for a number of years.
Don't forget we've got some 47s
as well.
It's probably in a slightly different league. See, what you're discussing, or you've mentioned here, is something we have been discussing. I mean, there are certain locomotives or models you should have in your range. You should. The 08 was one. I mean, it's such a ubiquitous loco. There's 800 of them, and you should have that in the range. And I know when we introduced the latest version we got a little bit of a sort of a kicking. We know, why have you done it? Batman have already got you duplicating. But the problem is we should have one. The discussion is, if you look at the 47s and indeed the 37s, well, should we not have one in our range? And part of me said, yeah, we should. And another part of me said, yeah, but hang on a minute, you've got, Bachmann's 47/37. You've just mentioned Hellion. There are other tools out there. Should we? It is a dilemma, and I think if I had, a big pot of money, I'd probably have a go. So I don't know. Watch this space. It is a genuine dilemma we have. There'd be no point for me to produce, a Sterling single or some of these others locos, but there are some that you should have.
Yeah, because for me as a modeller, I find that you produce a model and then someone else produces a model, and it sort of raises the bar slightly because you're trying to sort of.
But I mean, the Bachmann model was a good model. Prior to that, I was just trying to think. It was an Italian company, not Lima. It was.
I can remember the Triangle 8.
I mean the Triangle 8. Yes, it was great. I mean, we've done several of those. We've done, the 37, the Hornby 37. What actually I felt captured the feel of what the 37 was. I mean, it's such a chunky, solid-looking loco, but obviously lacked the refinement that you can get these days. So, I mean, where do you go? You know, you keep raising the bar, keep raising the bar. I mean, we have another Deltic, and I always thought, you know, the Barwell Deltic was pretty good. You know, somebody else wants to do one of that. What the question I probably do raise is there enough market out there to actually pay for the tooling? You'll always have somebody who wants the latest one.
Yeah.
Got to have it. But not everybody's like that.
But the other danger is you could push the market above what people can afford as well. If you go,
Funnily enough, I've just been discussing that with somebody. Yeah, we fell into the trap a few years ago of sort of backing off on detail and having some moulded parts, etc. It's possibly one of the worst decisions in recent Hornby history that we made, because when I speak to people, yeah, price is a factor, and you will have somebody come to your locos are too expensive or whatever. But you know, what do you want? They say, well, you know, I want it to look right. I want to have all the bells and whistles. I want it to be right. I want, lights. You know, I want it to run. You know, I want lights. Yeah, you're right. And then price. So it's, you know, price isn't the top of everybody's list. You know, you look at the market at the moment. You look at the world at the moment, and people are a little bit nervous with Brexit and so on. So, you know, the interest rates, etc. You know, the silver pound, they're not getting the interest. They haven't got that spare money. So there is that aspect. But from my feeling is that detail is important. Is there a limit to it versus price? The answer is yes, there probably is at this precise moment. To get the volume. At the end of the day, a tool costs so much, that has to be paid for. And at the end of the day, you have to make a profit to put back into the business so you can for the next one and the next one. So, you know, you've got to be, you know, whenever I work out costs and should we do the loco and will it pay back and so on, I'm pretty strict with myself that it must make a return, because I've got to pay for that tooling. And I have to make a profit because I want to reinvest that money in another loco. Yeah. Possibly not a 47, but who knows? So
if you had, what would be your magic? If you had a magic wand and it's like you could produce any loco now, what would you pick?
Well, I'm probably already doing that. I've probably got all that ready planned.
Can you tell us? Or
no.
Okay. Tried.
Well, yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
That's brilliant. So we'll move on again.
Okay, well, Simon, thanks for your time today. It's been really good speaking to you about lots of aspects of Hornby and their associated companies, and it's interesting to see that you're looking at obviously the younger market with regard to some of the Corgi range and ranges like that. One more question that we'd like to ask you is really, where do you see the Hornby brand, the Hornby range going in the next 2 to 3 years? Because you kind of indicated earlier that you kind of work on a 5-year kind of forward-thinking plan. I'm not expecting to reveal any secrets.
No. No, what I can tell you is we'll be here. We're not thinking of wandering off anywhere again. So we're very much established here. I see, and it's very difficult because you're just going to have a word for it. I see lots of exciting things. There's lots of plans, and lots of investment in all the brands that we have. You know, railways obviously has a particular soft spot for me, and I'm determined that we will progress and move forward, bearing in mind that, you know, I really would like to open up the market more. You talked about junior sets. I want to see more girls get involved, more females involved, because I genuinely do believe they're really good modelers. They have a dexterity, they have an eye for detail and so on. So I'd like to see that happen, and I think it's sort of, I think the key word is inclusive. So let's try and be more inclusive with it. And I don't mean let's produce, you know, trains with flowers and I think that so on. I think that's certainly the wrong route. But you know, we need to encourage them. to get involved, because for model railways is such a broad church. It's got so many educational factors to it. You know, I don't have to tell you.
Well, I recall speaking to you, and I said, you know, I'm perceived as a kind of bit of a, you know, train modelling is, you know, oh, you model trains. I said, well, you said, well, you carpentry skills, electrical skills, you learn to solder. Yeah. You learn, you know,
basic physics, topography, you know.
And it's art in a way.
And it is art. Yeah. No, that's what it is. It is art. It's using your eye, hand, and it's imagination. And on top of all that, it's damn good fun. It's fun. And nobody gets into this hobby, or really any hobby, to be miserable, do they? Yeah. They do it to relax, to pass the time and have a degree of satisfaction. Definitely. Doesn't matter what level.
And it's now becoming more sociably acceptable.
And you can thank the TV, the Great Model Railway Challenge has done so much. Yeah. And I'm all for that sort of thing. But you know, in 5 years' time, I'd like to think it's a much more inclusive. It's evolved. We will have product range which hopefully will encapsulate that.
And I know you talked about the Harry Potter range when we spoke earlier, and that was a big draw for the kind of the girls.
Yes,
I know my daughter watches the Harry Potter films and wants the Hogwarts Express to run on my layout. She'll not get to touch it, but she can watch it go around. But you know, so that is even getting her interested.
It's looking for these different angles to get people into it. I mean, they had a Harry Potter film on the weekend. They seem to have them on most weekends, which is great. You know, anything that shows a loco or whatever, anything like that, just gets people interested and fascinated. So, the next 5 years are going to be interesting. I'll probably have a few sleepless nights, but all in all, no, we're here for the long haul. And who knows, you may even see a 47 or a 37 or another Deltic or goodness knows what else.
You heard it here first. Well, thanks very much for your time.
Okay, no, you're more than welcome.
Pleasure.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
No, that's good.
Cheers. Thanks just now.
Thank you. Series recording and go beep beep beep.
I know.
David.
I love you. It's recording now. Forgot what I was going to say. Hi and welcome to Dean Park. You join me at the Railway Modelers Mecca, which is Hornby and Margate, where I've got an exclusive interview from you. Keep getting put off by somebody. Hi and welcome to Dean Park. You join me at the Model Railway Mecca, which is Hornby's HQ here at Margate in Kent, where I've got an exclusive interview with Simon Kohler. No wait now, keep it on. That bloody lorry. Hi, welcome to Dean Park. You join me at the modelling... This is terrible. Well, as you can, see what you've just... Go around there now, Andy, and see if I'm actually in shot. I don't want to do all this, come all this way and escape from Scotland to then find it.
Yeah.
Is it filming?
You could do maybe coming up a bit higher. Kind of backwards, that's it there. That's better, isn't it?
Oh no!
Ready?
If I got any closer to you, we'd be engaged.
Best offer today.
Oh yes.
Second. Use me. So Simon, thanks for inviting us to Hornby.
It's recording. Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to Dean Park. Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to Dean Park. Today we've got a special video for you too. That's Seagull and that asshole on a bike. Thank you. I'm just not thinking straight.
I don't think that's the problem.
It's the bloody... Can I walk onto this, you think? Right. Hold on.
Sorry?
Yeah? Right. Here we go then. Hi, I'm Dave and welcome to Dean Park. In this video, we're visiting Hornby HQ here in Margate in Kent for an exclusive interview with Simon Kohler. So let's go in and see what Simon's got planned for the future of Hornby.
Good.
Right.
Start again.
We've joined, I'll start again. We're in the kind of Humbrol Corgi section of. Well, Andy, that's been a great day. The visitor centre was fantastic, and Simon's just left us to have a browse around the visitors' shop.
This is going to be dangerous. This
You think
is
so?
child in the sweet shop. Everywhere you look, there's, you've got Sky Electric, we've got Hornby, we've got Airfix, paints, everything you can think of.
Yeah.
Right on the doorstep of the.
It could be an expensive half hour.
Afternoon.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think you need to take my credit card off me before I go mad. But no, it's been brilliant. Epic afternoon with
Yeah. It really has been great. Yeah, if you've not visited Hornby HQ in Margate or the visitor centre, I'd fully recommend it. It shows you a kind of potted history of the company through 99 years of its existence. So come along, it's great value for money, and there's also a cafe on site where you can grab a bite to eat as well.
Don't forget the open day. We've got the open day.
Open day in August. The details to that are at the bottom of the screen right now. So if you want to come along, there's a big reopening of the Margate exhibition centre and the shop. So come along to that day. Check out the Hornby website for more details. Well, that's it from Hornby. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Any questions on what you've seen or any comments, please post them below. If you've not already subscribed to the channel, subscribe and click that like icon as well. If you want to see the other half of this interview with Simon, head over to the Warley Club YouTube channel, and there's more questions that we asked Simon on the day. So thanks again for watching. Take care. See you soon. Cheers.